Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good night, good evening, good whatever time of the day you are listening to this, and welcome to the Volatile Times with Daniel podcast, a podcast where we open-mindedly look at how we can better ourselves and also just, commentaries on social events and the world around us. So with that said, I want to say a very big thank you to every single person who has been listening to the podcast, whether you started from the beginning or whether you joined recently. I am so grateful for you, and I am thankful for those who this is their very first time. Thank you for discovering this podcast. Thank you for choosing to click play, and thank you for listening past 1 minute. Trust me, your time is valuable and I do not want to waste it, which is why I'm going to dive directly now into the topic for today's episode. And that topic is COVID-19 and the moral rot we can't hide. Yes, today I'm going to be making a commentary on morality and the current, ongoings around us in Nigeria. And you might be wondering, exactly why am I talking about this? Well, I decided to talk about this. This has actually been on my mind for almost a month now. It's been troubling me, a couple of things that has affected our attitude, or a couple of things that we aren't even noticing about our attitude, because I noticed it in mine and I started seeing it in other people, in the way we talk about things, the way we view the world, the more desperate we become, and how those things affect the kind of moral choices we make, because almost every choice we make in life is a moral choice. If you make a choice, to greet somebody or not to greet somebody, in a way that is a moral choice, because when we say greet somebody, it's almost kind of like we're saying show love. You understand? So hold on guys, stay with me as I take you into my headspace and allow you to see the world exactly the way I am currently seeing the world. And before I forget, yes, you are in for a treat. We wanna do what's right. Lord knows our good intentions, but every time we do the very thing we hate. This is our biggest fight. It's like it's never ending, but when we look into the eyes of our reflection, we can see that it's a war. It's a war. COVID-19's brought it out onto the floor. Gotta guard our hearts and introspect. Watch yourselves, open our eyes and recognize within ourselves this is a war. Oh, let's face our moral rot. Okay, so I think everybody noticed this. When we found out about the coronavirus outbreak, the COVID-19, the entire world at first didn't panic. Whether that was due to fake news or a misconception or just delusion, we didn't panic. But then the moment places started closing down, the moment, the government started issuing a quarantine, a lockdown on all social events, marketplaces, every businesses, every other thing, we immediately flew into a panic. And if there's something that is very, very common with human behavior and panic or desperation, is that we tend to make bad choices during those times. We tend to become much more selfish the more desperate we are. And the more selfish we become in our desperation, the more we tend to make choices that are sort of questionable, or choices that in our minds will lead us to greater profits, but we don't consider that it leads to the detriment of every single person around us. And how does that key into what I'm going to be talking about? Well, it keys in because when we're talking about morality, in the end we are talking about human behavior, and human behavior is at the root cause of every single thing I'm about to highlight. In Nigeria, there has been so many things I've experienced so far, so many things that people have experienced and have told me about, and these things just baffle me, and even things that I have done or almost done during this time, and it's been baffling. It's been an experience, it's been a journey, it's been a learning curve. When people talk about something like a man who was kind before, but then the moment he got rich and then he got that power, he got that influence, he became a different person altogether. He became sort of like a tyrant. And then you keep wondering, exactly what is going on there. In a way, it's kind of like this situation. Yeah, but just instead of getting rich, we got desperate. When the lockdown started and then, people were going to the market to go, stock up on foodstuff and everything. Here in Nigeria, prices of foodstuff rose quickly. very, very quickly. And here's the funny thing, there wasn't any governing body that was saying, okay, increase prices of goods. There wasn't any governing body that was disturbing them or anything like that. People just decided to raise the prices for their products simply because, oh, you are desperate now, Abi. Oh yeah, God don't catch you. Should be that uncle where they pass in front of my shop where they do, uncle, brother, daddy, come and buy now, patronize us. Now you need my product, Abi. You are desperate, Abi. Oh yeah, come and buy this thing at an inflated price, like times 5 or times 10. And I'm like, what? And okay, fine. I understand during that particular time that, yeah, okay, they themselves thought, oh, it would be nice to, stock up on finance, not just on foodstuff, finance also. So let's take advantage of these people. Fine. Okay. Now, what about now? Technically, things have calmed down, right? We can go out now. We can go to the market now during weekdays, except for weekends. I live in Ogun State here in E4, and we have market days on Monday and Friday. Those are the main market days, and in between, markets is still open. You can still go there and buy things. But do you know that the prices of goods in the market are still inflated? I mean, come on now. Before, plantain where they buy, if you see the 300 naira plantain that I used to buy before, it used to be much. That we even be complaining that this thing, you're not sending it to me right. That 300 naira plantain, my brother, my sister, I will buy it for 600 naira now, and the person that is selling it to me will not even blink eye like they are doing me wrong. And I'm like, hey, oh my God, really, niggers and niggeresses, really? But let's not even talk about only that. What about transport? The other day, my mom went out. She went to Oshodi, and usually from my place to Oshodi, in the end, overall, will cost you 500 naira. Simple as that. Will cost you 500 naira, or let's say 600. Depending on exactly how you go about your transportation route. But do you know my mom spent from where I am, let's say from Songo to Iyanokwaja, she spent 500. Was it 500 or something around 500? From Iyanokwaja to Oshodi, she spent like 600 to 800 naira for bus. Really? And then, okay, you think, okay, maybe the bus people, they are, saying, fine, let us take maybe two people per seat and increase the prices. I will understand that no, they are not doing that. All you need to have is face masks. People are still being squished inside those buses like sardines. And I'm like, hey, oh my God, come on. I'm afraid to make a trip out now because I'm a school teacher, and which means finances for me are very, very low. I work with private schools, so which means I haven't really been earning money since the lockdown. So let's say I only have 5,000 naira left after 5 months in quarantine, and I say I want to go and visit a friend in Lagos, and something that should cost me 1,000 naira before is now costing me like 2,500. Because if you are a friend in Lagos, don't call me, don't tell me to come and visit you, don't anything. You keep wondering, okay, why are people acting this way? Like, we complain about the government a lot. We complain about embezzlement and everything. And these things rightly are things that we need to complain about. These things rightly are things that we need to keep on addressing and talking about. Like that fool that said he fainted at the hearing, the NDDC chairman, or what's his name? I don't even want to talk about that guy. You understand? These are things we should point out. But what about how we ourselves react to things? Sometime this year, I can't even remember the exact month, there was a big uproar of rape. You understand? Like, people were all about the rape. People were calling out people, calling out men, calling out women that were, apologizing for rape people, calling out various incidents. And I kept getting questions like, Daniel, why do you think, rape is so rampant nowadays? Why do you think these are things that were so rampant nowadays? And the truth is, rape is not rampant nowadays. This is exactly the same way it has been for a while now. Yes, for a while now. But the reason why we don't really get uproars like that is simply because of one truth that many of us do not recognize. And that truth is this: we ignore the problems around us. And you might be like, oh no, maybe that's just, so people can do what they want. No, I'm not talking about people just doing what they want. I'm talking about real problems we ignore. simply because they don't affect us directly, number one, and simply because we feel hopeless to it sometimes. Also, there's another third reason. It's simply because we cannot empathize, or we refuse to empathize with so many situations. Understanding is key in a lot of things. We want to call out people who want to do social justice, but many times people that are crying out for rape victims don't even understand or want to understand exactly what a rape victim is going through. Like, that is why you see people trying to ruin innocent men's images, trying to ruin other people online in the name of a victim. How do you think that victim will feel? Do you think the victim wants to be the pioneer, or do you think the victim wants their name to be on the billboard or on the headboard of the movement that goes around laying false accusations and things like that? No. But that is also something I'm trying to point out. When people do these things, they are not doing it out of a moral obligation. It's more like it's fun. And the reason for that is because many times we don't even personally hold ourselves morally accountable to our own selves. The other day, a friend was complaining about the way another friend, talks about him outside sometimes. He talks about him in a little bit of a derogatory way, which I have seen truly. And I asked him a question that, has he ever considered that the way he also introduces that very same friend is also in a way derogatory or limiting? And he says no. But after a conversation for like 5-10 minutes, he starts saying things like, oh, okay, I'm also accountable for this. Like, I also contribute to this. It's almost like as if they have normalized things like that, and so we don't talk about them. But we need to raise our voices about these issues. We need to constantly talk about these things. Don't just ignore comments. You understand? Many times people say, oh, rape is bad, but we end it there. But we shouldn't end it there. We should always go to the fact of, how do we contribute to those conversations about rape? How do we contribute to the mindset about rape? Have we ever made a joke about, a guy going to prison and getting raped? You are contributing. Have you ever made a joke about, somebody forcing themselves on a girl when they are horny? Maybe they've been going at it for a while, clothes are off, and then all of a sudden the girl says no, and then you say, at that moment the guy should do, you understand? If she knows she wasn't going to do, why did she make him aroused up to that point? Yeah, comments like that are very, very dangerous. It might be a joke, but also jokes tend to become ideologies sometimes. We complain about corruption in government, but how many times have we made jokes about we ourselves going into government and getting for ourselves? You understand? How many times have we made jokes about we ourselves being in that position of corruption? You understand? Simply because, that's how it is. We complain about these things, but at the same time, we complain about them sometimes because we are not the ones doing them. We are not the ones profiting from them. We complain about nepotism and, having network, and, it's because of network that this person got that kind of job. But the truth of the matter is this: if that was you, would you reject that offer if you were in that position of the nephew that got into the company because of the uncle? Would you reject that position? Would you take the moral high ground? Would you take the morally correct choice? Or would you just allow for the network? We need to question ourselves on this. The other day, I was raising funds for somebody to help this person out of something. And sincerely, a thought popped into my head because I'm seriously broke. I am broke. Lord. I did not say it before, I am broke. So I was raising money and a thought flashed into my head. Who is raising money for you, Daniel? And sincerely, I pushed it away. I was like, nah, let's stop thinking that way. But then somebody sent the entire money I was trying to raise. Somebody sent the entire money straight. And for a minute, I kept thinking I should just, keep all the flyers I already posted up, keep all the messages I already sent to people. Don't tell anybody that I've already raised up the amount of money until the next day, so that more money will come in. And the more that will come in, I'll just keep it for myself. Right? That thought popped into my head. And what scared me about that thought wasn't because I had the potential to do it. It was what scared me about it was that I didn't feel bad thinking that way. And it made me recognize how desperate. Like, sometimes we don't notice it. Sometimes it just creeps in. It's gentle. It creeps in. We don't know it. We don't notice it until it becomes a full-blown problem. we don't notice how desperate we are getting. So which is why every single day we need to always introspect. We need to always ask ourselves, am I still holding these values true? Am I still adhering to these principles? Is my faith still strong? Am I still being disciplined? Am I still this? Am I still that? Because if you don't constantly reaffirm your faith, if you don't constantly reaffirm your beliefs, if you don't constantly question your priorities, you tend to lose sight of what is important and that thing that you need to keep. And mainly because of that, we start making choices, morally corrupt choices. We point out other people's morally corruptness and rottenness, but refuse to address the moral wound that is in us. And this is something that is grievous, this is something that is big, and it's something that we need to constantly watch out for. Okay guys, so we've gotten to the end of today's episode. I hope today's episode was good. I hope today's episode was awesome and valuable to you. Thank you for listening this far, and thank you for listening to other episodes and constantly showing up every Friday or every weekend or anytime you show up just to listen to this podcast. I am grateful for you. Please remember to follow the Instagram page of this podcast, that is at Volatile with Daniel. Also follow me on IG also at Daniel Briggs. You can always send me an email, altdanbriggs, that is ALTDANBRIGGZ, altdanbriggs@gmail.com. Or you can just easy something, subscribe to my newsletter. The link to that is in the description of this episode, the show notes. Subscribe, let's get in touch, let's start discussing. I want to have your ideas and feedback for the show and what you want to see more or what you want to see less of. Also, please, did you remember that part that I said I'm broke? Yes, I am here to beg for money, but calm down. Shukran is a platform for people like you to appreciate creators that they value. And I hope I am somebody you value, because I am to tell you, please donate, tip me on Shukran. The link to be able to do that is in the description of this podcast. Tip me, you can tip as low as 100 naira, my people. 100 naira. If 10 people tip 100 naira, how much is that? 1,000 naira. That's money, my people, and that is money for me to be able to get the things that I need to consistently uphold the quality of this podcast. Thank you very much once again. Please refer to a friend, play this, listen to this episode or listen to this podcast with your friends, subscribe for them, loud it on your Instagram and Twitter. Let people know about the Volatile community. Bring people to come and join the Fluid gang, my fam, and I'll see y'all later.